Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today we are going to be repairing a Sideshow Collectibles Gladiator Hulk. Now, this is going to be a very rough video. I had no intention of showing you guys how I was going to repair this one, but I guess I really have to because supposedly this is a common problem, and this is probably one of the worst designs I've ever seen for a statue as far as engineering. You have this whole upper body, and this is supposed to be holding up by this leg, and they made this leg hollow with a really crappy rod. It's really a mess. So after a lot of trying to plan this out this morning to how to fix this, I realized I really got to secure this leg to the point where I'm going to have to fill this all in. So what happened is this leg cracked, and you can see it's wobbly, and it doesn't make any sense that they hollow this. I don't understand this at all. You figure this top part would be hollow, and this would be solid. You would want this leg to be solid to really hold up this upper torso. But it seems like this area is solid, but this leg right here is hollow. Anyway, so I thought maybe I would be able to kind of get in there, but sadly I can't. So what I had to do is I had to twist this leg, and then when you look into this area, you can see it's hollow. And there's this little rod here holding this. It doesn't make sense. Like, why is this rod holding up this hollow leg? Now, if you really look in there, you know what we'll try to do is we'll grab a flashlight. Now, if you look in there, you can kind of see there is a solid part at the bottom, like right around here. So, all the way up to here, even at the bottom of his foot, like literally it's just like flat here. This is all hollow. This is all hollow, and then you come to a really solid piece in his, his waistline area. And I think over here, this foot seems a little bit hollow. So, after kind of looking this over, and I kind of just messing with it now, I realized that there's no way for me to really secure this. Now, I could throw a bunch of resin and stuff into here and kind of twist this back, but sadly, I'm never going to line this up because what it is, it seems like they put a rod in here, and then they hooked it around, so it's just one rod going up this way, and then this is hooked in here. So I got my hacksaw, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go into here and saw this off, because I figured at this point, I'm going to be filling this in with resin. I got some of this, what is this, the fiberglass for when you break your arms and stuff, I'm going to fill all this in and really secure it, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another rod. I'll Dremel a hole through this, and I'll put another rod in here and get it situated, because at this point, it's just a mess. So, what I'm going to do is going to finish sawing this off, and then what we'll do is we'll look at it. I have a container of resin, so I think what I'll be doing is I'm going to take some of this fiberglass, I'll get it all set up and I'll shove it in there, and then what I'll do is that'll help me fill it in, and then what I'll do is I'll mix up some resin and I'll pour resin in there, because I don't want to put a whole solid thing of resin in here, because if I do, it'll kind of heat it up and I might run into issues, and I don't want to do that. Now, I don't want to put my freeform smooth on in here, because that stuff is good for filling it in, but I don't trust that stuff enough to really secure this item. I think I got to go between Magisculpt and resin and this fiberglass to really get this leg secured. It's just a weird design. I don't know if Sideshow planned this out, or if the factory just went ahead and did it and they didn't tell Sideshow, I don't know. But we have to get this situated. So I'm going to finish cutting this off, and then what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll take a better look at what's going on in the inside. Okay, so we got the leg off. So you can see what's going on, right? You see, it's not even centered. It's off to the side. Over here you can see how they did this part. So it's looped underneath here. So you have this huge solid piece, you have this hollow piece, and then you got this hollow piece. So it's pretty messy. It's really not well designed at all. My guess is the factory decided, we're going to save on some material. We won't tell Sideshow and go from there, unless maybe Sideshow designed it. Maybe they said they needed a rod up the leg and the factory just kind of slapped it in there. I'm not really sure. I can't fault Sideshow. It's definitely got to be something on the factory, but in the end, Sideshow let it go through, so from what I understand, there's a lot of errors. But we're going to get this fixed up. So, what's going to happen now is I got to see if I need to cut out this rod a little bit, which I probably need to, because this rod might hit this one. I'm a little out of breath because that was some crazy sanding. Yeah, see that rod might hit it. So what I might do is maybe just try to bend this rod a little bit. Or maybe get my Dremel tool in there and kind of slice off a little chunk. I do have a lot of other rods here. Let's see. You know, I got some pretty thick hollow brass rods, you know, like these. So what we're going to do is, before I put anything in here, I'm going to try to use one of my long Dremel tools. I'm going to sort of create another rod in here in the center. And I'm going to make sure it comes enough into the foot. And then what's going to happen is we're going to start filling this in with the fiberglass. We're going to probably pour in some resin in too. We're going to get this nice and secured. And then over in here, we're going to probably fill this in with some fiberglass resin. And we'll make a hole. And what we'll do is we'll kind of glue and we'll use some Magic Sculpt to sort of kind of make sure we get that final piece in there. And I think if we get enough secured in here with a rod and everything else, then we can worry about touching it all up. But man, lifting this thing up, going everywhere with allergies too, it's really putting a toll on me today. But I want to get this done and I want to get it secured. So let me try to get in there and see if I could get that little piece chopped off or grind it down or something. And then we'll Dremel a hole and we'll get a nice better rod in the center of this. I do have thicker ones, so I might use a thicker rod for this. Right, so I went ahead and I just chopped this little piece off here. It's still hot as hell, but I chopped it off in the inside here because I figured it would be easier to work with this piece instead of this leg piece here. So now when we put this up against this, we don't have anything hitting it. It goes on pretty well now, so there's nothing kind of getting in the way. So that's good. So now I don't have to worry about that. This is actually my thickest rod, which is fine. I do have a drill here, which is kind of funny. Grab my drill here. Like I said, this is a rough video, but we're just kind of just moving along because it can't take too much time. So you see I got this long drill here. It's long as hell. It can go into there no problem. So I'm going to try to center this, and then hopefully I can at least Dremel enough to get this rod in there. I'm just hoping that it's not super hollow, but if it is hollow going in there when I drill, it's not the end of the world because I can actually throw this rod even further in there and let it sit in place because we have a nice long one. So I'm going to get this drilled out and go from there. Now, working this way, I don't like to do it, but I have to since it's so big. If I mess up or I rub anything on the hands or the chest or anything on that, there's nothing I can do really about it. I'll probably just go grab a towel real quick though now and put a towel on there so it could kind of, you know, just keep a little bit cleaner. But it's just one of these things you got to deal with. So let me get this hole in there and then we'll go from there. Alright, so you see I got a hole in there. Now the problem with that hole is, if I keep going too further, I'll come through his thigh. So I really can't go too further into it, but it's not the end of the world. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure this rod. So you figure if this foot is about there, we need to have the rod about right about here or so. So let me grab my marker. Like I said, we're kind of going off the book here a little bit from planning this video out. So you figure if this foot is here, like so, you figure we have about to there for the foot. So let's cut it like right here for now, and we'll go from there. Now, this is going to help. What I'm going to do is to really get this piece secured in the bottom, we're going to mix up some resin once I get a chance. If we're going to pour a lot of resin in there, we're going to get that part set up. Then what we'll do is we'll get some of the fiberglass. We'll fill the fiberglass around there. We'll pour in some more resin. We'll just kind of throw the fiberglass around just to use as a filler, and we'll let the resin go in through all the like corners and stuff and kind of get that filled. But we want to make sure that this rod is good enough for this foot. Like I see. Actually, now that I look at it, we might need to go a little bit further. So we're going to cut it up higher. So it's better to cut it up higher instead of too low. So we're going to cut it up here more, like that. And then if I have to, we'll cut it down. So let me saw this up. And go. All right, we got that cut. So let's just do a quick experiment and see if we're looking good. So I definitely cut it too high. So let's cut it. Let's cut like a ½ inch off of that. Come back. All right, let's try it again. So we got that piece sort of there. And let's try to get the foot on. All right, good. Good. We got a lot of A lot of... Perfect. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is we want the rod to be straight. You know, we want it to be in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rig him up so he's standing upwards a little bit. We're going to grab some resin. We're going to mix up some resin. We're going to fill it in, you know, probably like, I don't know, maybe an inch, inch and a half worth of resin down there. So this way it kind of really bonds that rod in there. And then we'll start filling this in a little bit more. And we'll just keep going till we're ready to do the foot. Okay, don't mind the noise in the background. That's the priming booth. I'm kind of just using it for the fumes of the resin. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mix up the resin. I'm going to pour it in there. I'll hold the rod. I mixed up a fairly amount because I really want to get this rod secured in there. Now, the only downside of hollow casted stuff is if you pour resin in there, you never know if there's an air hole, and then all of a sudden your resin starts leaking over the item. But looking at these Sideshow pieces, you know, I put the flashlight in there and I looked around, I didn't see anything, but I'll double check. If I do see any type of an area leaking, I'll probably plug it up as fast as I can. There's nothing I really can do about it, but we got to get this secured. But it should work out pretty well. I think if I just keep this nice and situated and we get that resin in there and really secure this, we can really go forward with it. So I'm going to mix that up. We'll do a fast video on it because I got to mix it, I got to pour it in, I want to hold it. This is the fast setting resin. It takes about 5 minutes to cure. You get about, what is it, maybe a 2 minutes pot life or less. So I'm going to mix it up, move fast, and get this secured in there. So we had a problem. What I did is I mixed up a lot more resin than what I expected I needed, and see, this hollow piece is actually got air pockets in it. So I'm working pretty fast to get a lot of this resin out, and what it is, it's gelling up and it's getting out. So it's not the end of the world. It's going to be solid now, and I'm just going to have to clean it up. That's it. There's nothing I can do more about it. It's just one of the downsides of doing this. So what happened was, there was no leaking on this statue leg, but there was leaking here. So that's actually pretty bad. I mean, to have these little air pockets in your item, that's kind of crappy. You know, this is why this thing is all broken up. So this stuff will cure up. It's not the end of the world. I'm just kind of cleaning it up as I go. It's, you know, the good thing about it is he's the Hulk. It's a very kind of rough type of a sculpt. It's, you know, green with leathery boot things on, so it's not a problem. But you can see I filled that in pretty well now. So I actually did a lot easier work than I expected. I didn't think I had that much resin. So when I mixed up the thing and I poured it in, I was like, oh crap, I got way more resin than I needed. But that's fine, that's fine. So it's very hot right now, and what I need to do is just kind of keep cleaning this up. I'm going to do that off camera, make sure I get this as clean as I possibly can. And then what we'll do is once this cools down, which probably might be later tonight or tomorrow, then I could come back and we can actually Dremel this in, and I might be able just to kind of fill this in with some magic sculpt or something and be done with it. So we'll see what happens in a little bit. Alright, so the resin is pretty much cured up. What I did is I Dremeled a nice big hole in here. It was kind of hard to get the right thing, so now when I put in some magic sculpt and I attach this, we're lined up pretty well. So I can line up the glue around the edge, I can line up the magic sculpt and go from there. Now what I want to do right now is pop open this small piece here and fill in over this area here. Just kind of fill this in with as much, you know, of this fiberglass as I can. And then what I'll do is I'll let this kind of stop for the night, let it dry up, and then tomorrow mix up a little tiny thing of resin and put him upright and fill it in with some resin and let that kind of like soak in there pretty well. And then what we can do is probably mix up a bunch of magic sculpt, fill in this area here, fill in this area here, squeeze it on, throw some glue, get this attached, let it sit for the day, and then after that we could go from there. Plus this will give me a chance tomorrow to kind of clean up some of this paint around this foot. So what I'll do is I'll probably clean up the foot, get all that nice and touched up, then painted, so this way I don't have to go in there crazy later and try and do it. and then I can worry about just doing the seam around here. So I'm gonna go grab some water, grab some gloves, fill in this area here as much as I can, and then tomorrow we'll continue on with this piece. Alright, so this is just fiberglass that, you know, you have when you break a finger, a leg, a wrist, or whatever. I've used this in a few other videos in the past. Basically what I like to do is kind of cut the strips. I use old crappy scissors to kind of deal with this stuff. So you put in a little bit of water, get a little bit, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to shove this in here like so. You don't have to get like a lot of water. It's just kind of, they said soapy water sort of helps do it. I just kind of like wet my fingers a little bit in the gloves and sort of this stuff like is like a filler, but when you throw resin into it, it'll fill in the holes and stuff and it'll work out fine to secure this. You don't have to worry about making it perfect. Turn them upright tomorrow and fill in the resin. Just try to give this stuff some breather room. You don't want to overdo it. I think it's once this stuff hits air though, it sort of starts curing up on you anyway. I think the soapy water just helps it from sticking on the outside is when they put it around you. I've used this on the Wonder Woman base a while back when I took off the top of the Wonder Woman base and I sort of wanted to fill it in, kind of make it hollow. This stuff gets semi-warm, but not like hot like resin. And I might not even need to pour in resin, but we'll see. I just want to make sure I kind of shove this in at least around here. Good thing about this stuff is if you do, see how it's kind of like starting to come out, you know, it's like popping out of the hole a little bit. You can cut this, you can Dremel it, you can drill it. It's basically fiberglass, so it works out pretty well. What I want to do is if I do pour resin in this, I want to make sure it doesn't overflow at all. And we have sort of flow going in there. Even if I just fill it in with Magic Sculpt, that'll be fine too. But I just want to kind of get a little resin flow in there. So I'm going to mix up a very tiny cup. It's not going to be like a big cup at all. Because if I mix up too much resin, it might just kind of be a waste. I'm trying to pack this as best as I can. When this is done, this leg is going to be nice and solid and really support them way better than what happened. So like the inside areas are already kind of like cured up already. So just kind of hitting this with a little water. It's a little warm, not hot, a little warm. stuff is great filler for hollow statues if you can get a big, huge gap like this. So we are looking really good now. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. I really want to let this, you know, just let it breathe for a while. Just let it sit, let it breathe, go from there. So you can see how that kind of filled that in pretty well. It's a lot more stable, you know. So you have a big chunk of like this on the rod. So you have about that much on the rod. And then we're going to have like this much into the foot. So even if there is just a tiny air bubbles around here after we put in some more resin, some magic sculpt, and glue, it's going to be a lot more stable now. We're going to have a nice support and everything. So if you feel like around the knee over in this area here, it's still very hot. Well, not hot, but warm because of the resin. So we got to be careful with that. The foot over here is really nice and secure now. I mean, this is a nice solid foot. You know, we have a lot of gap in here, but I'm going to fill that in with magic sculpt, you know. And then this lines up pretty well. Yeah, so this won't be going anywhere once we're all said and done. So, like I said, we're going to let this breathe for tonight. I'll clean up the foot tomorrow. And then what we'll do is we'll pour a little extra resin around in here. Hopefully we won't overflow it. I'll have to set them up right, nice comfortable way. And then we will try and get the foot attached. And then we'll start worrying about touching everything up. Okay, so what I did is I mixed up some resin. And I turned him upright and I poured it in around here. So I had about a cup like this, and I filled it in there, and it kind of seeped into this area and over in here, and it kind of went around a little bit over there. So it just made this, you know, fiberglass a little bit more sturdy. So now we have a lot of grab in here because I drilled a couple holes. And what I did over in here is I dremeled a couple holes in here. Only because if you have a flat surface and you put Magic Sculpt or Aves to it with something this heavy, it's not really going to grab. So you need something to kind of grab there. Even though we're going to be filling in a lot of Magic Sculpt over in here, you still need something to kind of grab just to be on the safe side. So looking at the way this is right now, we're going to have a little tiny hole over in here because of this cracking. So what I might do is just break off a little bit more. So this way, once I push this in with the Magic Sculpt, I have a little bit of a gap in here. I could kind of fill in with some Aves or something just to kind of fill in this little part over here because there's a missing piece here, and I might as well just break it off a little bit more. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go mix up some Magic Sculpt, and I'm going to squeeze and put this on. Well, I'll put some glue around in the inside. Try not to get the glue on the outside, but even if I do, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to have to clean it up anyway. And we're just going to try to fill it in. So, going to need a nice good chunk of Magic Sculpt. I think like almost the size of a baseball because I got to fill in there and in here. So yeah, it's going to be a nice big chunk. Okay, so this is the hard part. I mixed up enough Magic Sculpt. Good thing I had a lot of it left. Good thing it's sort of fairly old where it's really tough right away. But this is still going to be heavy on here. So I have my tape, got the glue. So we're going to try and do this fairly fast. Throw a lot of glue around this edge. Like I said, if it seeps out around the edge at this point, it doesn't matter. We want to make sure this is really secured. The glue is just helping hold it. That's kind of the point of the glue. It's not really there to secure it, like final. Make sure there's no. I'm trying to squeeze it in the inside, not the outside. All right. I got my Instaset next to me. So let's, real quick. Put 2 pieces of tape on the edge. Alright, got a little squeezing out at the side there, not the end of the world. If I get any glue on the leg, at this point it doesn't matter. I want to make sure I get this on there pretty well. Got a little bit of just gotta finesse it a bit to get it where we want it. Some glue squeezed out at the edge, just wipe it off with my finger on the towel. Alright, so I think we're at a good spot. So I'm just going to grab some of my Instaset. The bottle's kind of messed up. I'm just going to pour a little over there like that. Okay. Alright, so I retaped it. The camera went off on me, but it's lined up as close as I'm going to get it. It's a little hair off, but not completely, but I think it should be fine. The real test is once this cures up, probably later today, I can actually sit there and put it in the base and see how it fits. I'm pretty sure it should be good. If there's any kind of problems with the base, then I'll have to kind of tweak that a bit, but I think it should fit fine. I don't want to do it right now because the Magic Sculpt is still fresh, and then knowing my luck, it'll topple over and I'll cause all kinds of problems, so it's better just to let it sit and be safe. Like I said, if it doesn't fit in the base completely flush or something wrong, that's easier to fix than to redo the whole leg over again or try to break it off because the Magic Sculpt cured and all that stuff. So, but it's definitely holding on pretty well. The glue is holding on nice and tight, and we're pretty much set up to go. So we're just going to let this cure up for a few hours, and it's like, what, 12 o'clock right now. I'm going to go grab lunch. And maybe by the end of the night, before I close up shop, we could come back and see how everything's going. Just give it a good, like, 8 hours or so. Okay, guys, so last night before I closed up shop, it was probably around 10, 11 o'clock at night. I figured I wasn't going to be able to sleep unless I know that this goes into the base pretty well. And by that time, everything was cured up. So I didn't film it. I just went ahead and tested it. It fit fine. I was like, okay, perfect. I'm not seeing any issues. There's just a couple touch-ups here and there I still have to do, but I'm going to do all that tomorrow because I just did the patchwork now. So you can just see I just went around, ran some Aves. I used a towel, tried to create that texture again from the skin best I could. So I'm going to have to go in there and touch it up. I'm not going to show you guys how I touch it up. I didn't go crazy and show you how I patched it. I've done plenty of that in other videos. It was more focused on how I actually get this hollow blade secured and durable for this heavy ass statue. Now, handling it now, I think I added maybe anywhere from 2 to maybe 4 pounds or more to it. Probably about 3, I would say, but that's fine. This thing is really nice and durable. He fits into the base, and this sucker isn't going anywhere. So, with that being said, I'm going to let this cure up for the day. Hopefully tomorrow or Saturday, whenever I get a chance, I'm going to touch up the paints. It's a matter of just kind of leaning him on the towels again, touching up the paints, and then that's it. I'm not popping him out, all the stuff out of the box. I'm not going all crazy because the 2 boxes are taking up major room in my studio, and I need to get this out of the house. So I'm just going to touch it up tomorrow. We'll come back. I'll show you the final touch-ups, and that'll pretty much be it for the video. So it's an off-the-cuff video, but at least it gives you guys an understanding of hollow stuff is really a little bit more of a pain in the ass especially when you have such a heavy torso and stuff holding up the item. So we'll be back once everything is finished up. Alright, so he's all finished up. Went ahead and I touched up all the paint. I got it as close as possible. I went ahead and touched up some of the other strap areas a little bit around here because they were kind of messed up. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that is repairing a hollow leg on this Gladiator Hulk. Gives you guys an idea what hollow statues look like in the inside, and some way of actually securing it to the point where it can hold up a really heavy item like this. So I think I probably added about 2 to 3 pounds to this statue, but this leg is never breaking again unless the client drop kicks it or something else breaks on the statue. So, for like I said, from what I said in the beginning of the videos, is I think this is a common problem with this statue. I've seen a lot of people have broken issues, but the other issue with it is shipping, you know, because it's such a heavy statue, a big bulky thing. But it was kind of lucky that the person only lives, you know, a few towns over where they can drive it over to me. But it's just part of the hobby, you know. Sometimes these factories do amazing, you know, designs and engineering, and other times they mess up a whole run. But that's the fun of the hobby. You can get back in there and you can repair it and bring it back to life if you're willing to put in the effort and materials, because the materials aren't cheap. But at least this one is good to go for a long time now. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully it helped you guys out. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.